One of the most hyped up games ever, Cyberpunk 2077 had what can only be described as a catastrophic release. You know that when the developer and publisher of a game says that they'll pay out of pocket to refund as many copies of the game as they have to, that things probably haven't been as smooth as they were hoping. But how is the game, especially on the notorious PS4, and in this video's case, a launch edition PS4, when it all comes down to it? Is Cyberpunk a fantastic game if it perhaps didn't have many of the game-breaking and problematic bugs and glitches that it became quickly so maligned for? What is the experience of Cyberpunk 2077 on PS4, truly? Let's get into it. While I'm a fan of the developer CD Projekt Red for their great work on the Witcher games, I'll admit that I was surprised to see how buggy Cyberpunk 2077 was at launch, especially after its rollercoaster ride of what seemed like endless delays. I'm sure that there's a litany of already existing videos that go into the specific development hurdles and hiccups. For the sake of this video, we should just assume that there were likely a series of unforeseen and/or unknowable issues that likely continued to plague the development team. Whether it was a question of too much ambition, or perhaps improper planning and execution, the game launched at what many considered to be an unplayable state, especially in the case of PS4. And again, already, there's lots of videos already covering the game's buggy performance and technical problems. So with all that being said, what's underneath here? Is there some level of Cyberpunk 2077 that delivers on its lofty marketing expectations?
Corpse, who's gonna sign you then? But give up your ideals, and no amount of eddies can buy them back.
Alright, princess.
In my opinion, yes, but I say that with a degree of criticality and attempted management of self-bias. I worry that since I really did buy into the initial hype that I'm still kind of looking at this game more favorably than I should be, but that's neither here nor there. The idea of the Witcher team producing a new first-person RPG set in a topically themed cryptocurrency-fueled technocratic cityscape made me very, very excited. If it was anything like Fallout New Vegas or the many other great sci-fi RPGs of the past, including the original Cyberpunk game, I knew I'd be interested. And the more I saw, the more I was thoroughly impressed. Big celebrity casting, huge ambitious open-world design, beautiful cutting-edge graphics that didn't even seem like they should be possible, and the whole time, the running narrative of a punk-themed act of chaos that changes the fate of this oppressive city-state. I mean, what was there not to be excited about? Sure, in theory, it did sound like it could just be another generic RPG-esque action-adventure game with a sizable open world with a bunch of markers on the map already there to tell you where to go and what to do, a style that many big AAA games these days sure love to utilize.
You don't need to know. Here to get me from point A to point B.
And, I guess in some ways Cyberpunk 2077 is somewhat like that, but like any good game made with this design formula, it doesn't actually bother me so much. It's the design formula done somewhat right in this case. Sure, at times, certain quest lines and traveling routes can get repetitive, going from point A to point B all the time, but the game does seem to know how to sprinkle in a decent amount of variety here and there. Sure, it's go to place and do the thing, usually with a dash of unavoidable murder to participate in, but I didn't mind it all that much.
Eat lead, stay dead!
Whether you're solving smaller, less important crimes or going after bigger quests like chasing evil AI cars around town, there's a decent number of things to do. You can drive around in multiple vehicles, but man, the controls are loose. It's really hard to get a clean, solid sense of control in basically any automobile or vehicle that I've been able to try out so far. It's a shame because oftentimes this is when Night City looks the best, from a third-person view of a car or motorbike. But if you're trying to enjoy aesthetics, you might really have to try and fight the mechanics the whole way through. And I really wanted to like the driving gameplay. There's even a street racing side quest which sounds really fun, but with cars handling like they are, like as if they're on ice, I don't know if the frustration to beat those levels would be worth it. Cyberpunk is kind of bare bones at times in truly non-traditional gameplay mechanics and ideas.
Is made of you. Oh, what a mystery you are, Spirit of what?
with a surprisingly boring story, relying on somewhat obvious political commentary at times.
Saw them transform Night City into a machine fueled by people's crushed spirits, broken dreams, and empty pockets. Corps have long controlled our lives, taken lots, and now they're after our souls.
Might be right. Can't really argue with you there.
V, I've declared war not because capitalism's a thorn in my side or out of nostalgia for an America gone by. This war's a people's war against a system that spiraled out of our control. It's a war against the fucking forces of entropy. Understand?
It's not to say it's bad, but in late capitalism, it's not just enough to wow viewers with the acknowledgement of late capitalism. You need a stronger thesis than this. Some locations in the game are amazing and bustling with atmosphere, but upon further inspection, they're not much more than attractive wallpapers. NPCs are not the in-the-moment characters that the developers really promised.
See, poverty might well be our lot, Governor, but order must be maintained. Without order, man's but like a beast. You feel me?
But, Morty, I'm just fucking hungry.
Hierarchy's inviolable, June. Everyone's gotta know their place. Best bits go to Cataract Candy. I come second. You bring up the rear.
That ain't fair. Dude gives you the scop for free. We should all get the same.
Hey, if this arrangement ain't to your liking, you don't need to hang with us. Go on, see how you manage alone for a while.
All right. Don't need to hear that shit.
That is to say, much of the world and overall design promises that CD Projekt Red made, while ambitious, didn't exactly turn out to be all that much. It's likely that the development team really did genuinely want to try many of the things they promised, but realized likely too late that there are too many hardware and software restraints on games that have huge open worlds, let alone even linear gaming experiences. It's a shame too, because there's many moments throughout Cyberpunk that you can clearly see quality of writing, direction, and acting, all melding into satisfying scenes or gameplay sequences, but the glaring flaws are quick to interrupt these moments.
But I'm busy right now.
While I don't think the overall story is as fascinating or as dynamic as I was expecting it to be, it does have an ambitious script for a new game, choosing really to throw players in a world without too much preamble or context. Many times, the dialogue is steeped in technobabble or 2077 slang, so if you miss it, you miss it. That being said, it isn't all that complicated to understand what's going on necessarily, but still, I do imagine there might be people who are even turned off by how much exposition there is in the game, with much of it lacking clear, concrete plot details.
Dynamic thermo-optic camo armor, full cognitive immersion with a Raven controller. Pimped out prototype actuators made of titanium, vanadium, Kevlar composite. And watch this! Fully integrated Link 2. So when the spider starts crawling up walls dangling from ceilings.
Could lose your lunch.
So what you think?
The main character, V, is pretty cool, with some top-notch voice acting from both the female and male voice actors. V manages to be both a very involved character with very specific suggestions and knowledge, yet still feel as if we embody them, like any custom RPG character or a protagonist with no dialogue.
He's so lovely.
You know, I heard a few things about you. The Voodoo Boys. Best runners in town. At least that's what they say. Though nobody really knows what you do on the net.
This is good.
I mean, bleeding edge black soft, corporate data heists, waging war on Netwatch. But no one mentions chickens.
Keanu Reeves is also in the game as Johnny Silverhand, and he is a main character too. He's not just a celebrity cameo in a cutscene or something. Johnny Silverhand is a big part of the main story, and a great character to have alongside for plenty of side quests and other adventures.
Me either. You woke up in a landfill, I woke up in your head. Wrestling with your thoughts, memories. Think we're even. And I've taken a step back, looked at things. Think we might be able to help each other. We could start with Rogue. Her and I go back to the Stone Age.
Though, honestly, I'm not as impressed with his character and writing as I thought I'd be. To be able to play the true, hardcore cyberpunk anti-establishment political terrorist, all the while still feeling like an edgy rocking musician, it rides the line of silliness, but I guess that's also part of the Keanu charm. I don't know.
That's how you became a construct.
Exactly. Now, Mikoshi's the place Soul Killer operates out of, where it stores its victims' engrams.
Still don't see how Mikoshi's linked to my chip problem.
Not the brightest bulb on stage, are ya?
It's alright. I actually find more interest in the side characters that we don't get too much info on. There are a few highlights for writing personable characters in the game.
Look like someone who can reason with these people. I beg you, please, help my brother. I only hope it is not too late. I do not wish for him to end up like I have.
Honestly though, it's sad to say, but that's kind of it for the game. The story might be interesting, but it doesn't have the depth that it thinks it does at times, and it also seems like it wants bigger emotional responses than oftentimes it deserves.
I promised I would help. Besides, those bastards killed Scorpion. I won't let that go.
Don't argue with her, V. No point. Go. I'll call my people. We'll take care of things here.
Don't get me wrong, it's cool and well developed, but it doesn't have the significant storytelling satisfaction that I was expecting it to have, especially coming off from Witcher 3 side quests that had me gripped. The atmosphere and overall sense of world is fine, but it just doesn't feel as lived in or as mechanically sound as the GTA or Red Dead games. It definitely feels like there was a lot of ambition for this game, some realistic and some unfounded. But either way, the end result is still, at best, a mixed experience, full of nasty bugs and terrible glitches. Constant software crashes and even a few full hard locks, this game on PS4 is a highly precarious gameplay experience, even with multiple patches already unleashed upon it. I still enjoyed my time with it, and perhaps sometime in the future, there'll be a nice update that really tunes up the whole game and makes it a worthwhile venture, but for now, I just don't know. It often happens with some of these overhyped games though. I mean, No Man's Sky is a good game now, that's impressive. But until that big old patcharoo comes knocking, perhaps it's best to leave Night City. I hear Atlanta's not that bad though.
Shit, her implants are older than I am.
Can't believe she finds the spares to keep them running.